Hello, everyone. My name is JT, the Talking Head. You are the audience, and you are listening to episode 14 of the Masters of Matinee podcast, a collaborative show between content creators who all share a great love for cinema and a passion of physical media. Our co-host today is the one and only doofus Zedox Hercules Jones. We're going to be talking about all sorts of things today, starting with a discussion on films that have had a profound impact on us, and moving to aliens and theorizing how they may have visited us. So buckle up the seatbelts on your spaceships, silence your cell phones, don't forget your towel, and don't panic because Masters of Matinee starts right now.
So, Zed, you said you had something to tell me. Be a lot cooler if you did. All right.
Yeah. So, JT, I have this question for you.
Yes.
And it's one that I've been meaning to ask for a while now because there's this movie that I want to talk about selfishly. But I'm going to pose the question to you first, which is, what's that one movie that has had the most profound effect on you?
The Whale, Darren Aronofsky, Brendan Fraser. No thought behind it. No immediate reaction.
And, you know, when you said that, I feel like this is a conversation we've actually had before. It may have been in an earlier podcast, but it's one of those things that I feel what was the turning point for you in that movie?
So spoilers ahead if you haven't seen The Whale.
I haven't.
Well, you're the one who posed the question, so buckle up.
That's okay. You know what? Collateral damage. Let me hear it.
I'm gonna try to keep it relatively spoiler free. So essentially, you know the premise, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so he's going into congestive heart failure. He's pretty much gonna die within the week. The turning point was that from the very beginning, I realized that I am very obese, way too obese. Not as bad as he is, but well on my way. And throughout the movie, I started to realize that I was looking and glimpsing into my future. So that, along with the depressive episodes that Charlie feels, he's gone through significant loss. I've gone through significant loss. In a different way, a different kind of loss, but still significant loss that has completely reshaped my life. And I dove into food when the coronavirus hit and shut the world down. I was very, very gung-ho to lose the weight. I didn't want to be trapped inside, and you know what? I did lose a bunch of weight. I went vegan for a while. I lost like 50 some pounds, and then my stepdad died, and I've since gained it all plus more back because food is the biggest dopamine thing that can come to a person who is vastly depressed and overweight already. So
sure.
Yeah, the Whale, seeing that, it helped me to the point where I started making some lifestyle changes. I reduced the amount of nicotine that I vape. I switched almost exclusively to water. If I drink soda, like I allow myself to drink soda whenever I go out to a restaurant, or if I stop at like McDonald's or something for, whatever, I can get a soda and bring it home, but I won't buy it in the store and keep it at the house. And then,
which is a good practice.
Yeah. And then also, more often than not, I've switched to drinking Coke, which I don't like Coke. Like Dr. Pepper and Mountain Dew are my vice. But I found that I can't control myself with those. So I'll drink Coke because I don't like Coke, but it still like satisfies that like craving for the bubbly sweetness. And when you don't drink soda for a really long time and all you're drinking is water or milk, then the Coke is very sweet. Like, trust me on that. So, Coke it satisfies that sweet tooth plus the bubbly and the sugar and all that. So I still don't like the taste of it, but it does like satisfy it more to where I'm like, I can control it. I can be like, okay, well, I had a bottle of Coke, like a regular size bottle of Coke or a can of Coke. I don't need another one. You know what I mean?
Sure. And in the movie, The Whale, doesn't Charlie have like an unexpected visitor?
Yes, it's a
Like
essentially a Jehovah's Witness.
okay. And did you pull anything from that? Because I feel like I've heard a lot of people talk about that relationship a lot, and how it like it affected a lot of people. I believe it. Sadie Sink, is she in the movie as well?
Yeah, she played his daughter.
His daughter. Okay, maybe I'm thinking of the daughter. Is the daughter a person that was with him a lot, or is that somebody who just like showed up one day? I think
So
I'm very like loosely familiar.
so he's estranged from his daughter. So when he goes into congestive heart failure, he reaches out to his daughter and essentially just wants her to come and he wants to see her. Like he doesn't care what they talk about. He wants to just have her present.
Has that ever made you that moment right there? Did it make you think about people in your life that have become estranged?
No, no, not really. Um, just because everybody who's become estranged in my life has been estranged for a reason. Um, I I mean, my dad left me when I was 2.5, and but it was like a weekend thing. I saw him every other weekend, so like he was still present in my life, you know, like
Sure.
with Charlie and his daughter, like it was years since they saw each other and shit. Um, but no, not really. It wasn't that like that part wasn't all that relatable to me because everybody else in my personal life that I've ever estranged from or they have estranged from me has been for a reason that uh, I've always been able to accept. Most of it,
Okay.
I'll be the first to admit of it. Most of it was very political reasons back during the 2016 election because I am very leave me the fuck alone about it, and everybody's
What
screaming
happened back in
down each other's
2016?
what
What happened back in 2016?
politics and stuff on Facebook. Oh, I
Yeah,
get it. You're
yeah,
being facetious.
yeah.
You cheeky
Yeah,
bastard.
I know. Look at she got me blushing over here. It's I suppose there's every so often I'll see a movie where similar circumstances uh you know are present where there's an estrangement between two people, and it always makes me think about those folks that um I have become estranged from, whether it was their doing, my doing, or the both of us. And at the time, a lot of the time, it feels right in the moment. Maybe it hurts, but ah, as they say, time heals all wounds. And after a while, you look at it or you're reminded of it through this movie or, whatever. And I think to myself, oh, yeah, this is no longer worth whatever we had then. And I'll reach out to the person. And I tell you, I've only really ever had one radio silence back, which is really nice at the end of the day, because I can say, not with 100% certainty, because there are a few people that are coming to mind that it's going to take a lot more from both of us, a lot of work from both sides. But I can tell you, it's beautiful. It's beautiful that you can rekindle, reconnect, and let whatever past be the past. But it's strange that you bring up the whale, because it's about a man who is dying. He is a week out, more or less, and he knows it. And all he wants desperately is to surround himself with basically the last person that he truly loves, because he does not love himself. And he wants at least one thing that he can love till the very end. So he brings his daughter in. And I'm guessing from the clips that I've seen, him and his daughter are not really uh, they have quite a week together.
Yeah, to say the
But
least.
yeah, the movie that I chose, I watched at the beginning of this year, and I've never seen a movie that quite saw me as much as this movie did. You hear all the time, about representation and about how much that truly makes all of the difference. And being, who I am and looking the way I do, I'm represented quite a lot in media. And I've felt fairly satisfied about that for the most part. But there's this one movie that was advertised all over TikTok. I mean, all over TikTok. I felt like that was the only place where the marketing team put the effort in. And it starred Jim Parsons, who was coming right off the back.
Let me guess.
Okay.
Let me guess. It was a movie that starred Jim Parsons, who went through 4 nose hair trimmers this year alone and only changed his undies twice a week.
God damn it. All right, listen here, bucko. I'm trying to have this heart-to-heart moment, and you're talking about how, I change my underwear a lot. At least since I've seen this movie, my underwear have at least gone inside out twice. It starred Jim Parsons, and he's coming straight off of Big Bang Theory, right at the tail end of the finale of that show. And I just keep on seeing it all over TikTok, but I didn't like what it was titled. The title of the movie felt like too internety for me, and I wasn't a fan of it. And the movie was called Spoiler Alert. And what I could gather from what I saw on TikTok, it was about 2 men who were in a relationship, and it seemed that there was someone who was sick. And that's all I kind of gathered from it. A lot of it was more Jim Parsons and Ben Aldridge, I believe is the other actor's name. And they were just like standing on like a little soundstage and just chit chatting. And that's how they marketed the movie. That was basically it. Just a white soundstage. That was it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch the movie anyway, because I like Jim Parsons and it seems like it could be a cute love story. Well, I don't really realize until the first 45 seconds what I'm in for. And this is, spoiler alert, as the title suggests, they tell you in the opening monologue, Ben Aldridge's character, Kit, he's going to die. That's an absolute. The opening monologue by Jim Parsons' character is telling you Kit is going to die. And I thought, wow, okay, that hits hard. So you have this idea looming over you throughout the entire movie that, oh my God, Kit is going to die. But you don't know, really how, you don't know when, you just know it's going to happen. But then they take you on this love story that is exceptional. It is funny. It is heartbreaking. It makes you angry. It makes you super happy. It takes you through all of the emotions. It takes you through basic life stuff. Just like Jim Parsons' character is a collector of Smurfs. Okay. And it's this whole thing of he's scared to bring people back to his apartment because he's scared of what folks are going to say about his Smurfs collection, because a large majority of it is in his bedroom. And he has a very hard time dating because of it. And I love that, because my bedroom looks the exact same. It's not covered in Smurfs, but I mean, it's top to bottom covered in collectibles. And then just like relationship issues, the part of like coming out to your parents. Ben Aldridge's character, the man who is going to die at the end, is closeted. And that was a tough part of their relationship, man. And I've never cried so hard Never. I mean, my little brother can attest. I was blubbering. I had him throwing tissues at me. I had him throwing paper towels at me. I mean, I was sitting there uncontrollably crying because it's devastating. And ultimately, what happens is, Kit is diagnosed with terminal cancer, and there's nothing they can do but basically make him comfortable. They try treatments, but it's well and truly terminal. And um and you get to see their relationship go from nearly broken to they're legitimately, like, when they find out that he has cancer, they're breaking up. Like they're on like a break. But Jim Parsons' character goes with Kit to the doctor because, it's nice to have somebody there when you need them. And they find out right there in the room, and immediately he becomes a full-time caregiver, a full-time, like, keeping up with all his appointments, all scheduling them all. Like, I mean, he is. There's this moment where uh Kit, who he has prostate cancer. He has prostate cancer, and they're in the hospital, and he can barely sit. And they've been asking for a bed. We need a bed. We need a bed. Like, we were promised a bed. We were promised a bed. And finally, he's like, he gets so tired of it. And mind you, they're still just dating at this point. They've been together for a number of years now. But he walks up to the counter and he just starts screaming, "Get my fucking husband a bed." And it hit me on so many levels, so many levels. And ultimately, he dies at the end. He dies, and they're married. Kit's parents, who he was once closeted to, are now their biggest supporters. They're a lovely couple. The mother is played by Sally Field, who, can you believe Sally Field is 76 years old?
Whoa.
Like, when did Sally Field age? That's but it's a wonderful story. And then at the end of the movie, as the credits roll, and I'm telling you, man, I am just a fucking mess. This movie takes you on it. Like, it almost feels like someone's entire life you have watched, because it takes place over nearly a 10-year period. And the credits roll, and then I realize why the movie is called Spoiler Alert. And now I love the title, because the book that it's based on is called Spoiler Alert: The Hero Dies. And nobody saw this movie. It came out, I believe, around Valentine's Day, and it was sort of marketed as such. It was marketed as this, Valentine's Day movie that you should go see with your loved ones. Yes, watch it with your loved ones, but if you plan to have sex afterwards, I do not recommend watching this movie, because you will be a mess. And I'm telling you, for days, weeks, all I could think about was this movie, because there were so many moments that reminded me of my own life. Sally Field and her husband reminded me of my grandparents. But I just love the sentiment of, sometimes at the end, the hero dies. And they tell you that right up front. And it's very rare that a story can really pull that off to make you really love that character. But when he's laying there in that hospital bed, I felt like, here's the thing, JT. The day that my dad died, I didn't cry that much as much as I cried when Kit passed away. I only knew Kit for like an hour and 40 minutes. But the way this story was told, the way it unfolded, it was just, I've never had a reaction like that before. That's all I can say. A reaction, not just the crying, just the reaction. Like, you watch a movie and you're like, wow, I'll never, like, I will never forget about that experience watching that movie. And then a week later, you're over that experience. Like the morning after, you're over that experience. I am still not over the feeling that I had watching this movie. And it's only been, if that came out in February, it's only been a few months. But people need to watch this movie. You need to watch it. It'll open you up to a world that maybe you aren't familiar with. And it'll also, if you need a good cry, oh my God, you'll have several. The people that I've recommended this movie to that have watched it have texted me pictures of them with just snot and tears, and their hair is a fucking mess. And they have done nothing but thank me for it. It is truly one of the most, is visceral even the correct word, experiences I've ever had watching a movie. And it was you hear about what was that one terminal movie that was like a cancer it was about two cancer patients. It was like Cheyenne Woodley. It was written by John Green. You know what I'm talking about? Not Paper Towns, but not Turtles All the Way Down. The Fault in Our Stars. There you go. The Fault in Our Stars. There's movies about terminal people, and don't get me wrong, it's all sad. But I have never had that kind of experience. And it's changed me. It absolutely changed me. From that moment forward, I learned to accept myself. I learned even more so how to accept others. I learned that, it's okay to not be okay, and to allow others to help because you need it. It's like, oh no, I got this. No, honey, I can help you. Like, I can help you, so let me help. And there's so many, and I wish I could remember everything. I wish I could remember every little detail from that movie that, like, I could cross reference with myself. But I suggest anybody and everybody out there to watch. Spoiler alert, find it. I know there's physical copies out there. I tried to purchase one, but ain't nobody purchasing a bootleg DVD for $17 off of eBay. No, not me. But find it, watch it. I don't know how you're gonna do it, but do it. You'll figure it out. I trust you.
I just looked it up. It is streaming on one of the major platforms.
Which major platform?
I can't say at this exact moment, since as we're currently recording this, there is the strike going on. So I'm if hopefully by the time this airs, the strike is over. But future proofing, just in case. But the audience can Google it. It is streaming somewhere right now.
I'm hosting it on zed.net. Don't go to the website. I don't know what that is. I don't own the domain. But
right,
yeah,
hold on. I got you. Zed.net.
What is it?
ZedNet Technologies, division of 99495 Canada Inc., bringing you affordable technology. ZedNet Technologies assists SOHOs and small businesses to inexpensively take advantage of high-speed internet access, including a networked environment. Our expertise in CompTIA A+ certified technicians will help you maximize the efficiency of your equipment and networks. To find out how we can help you, contact us. All right, Zed.net. You guys, your copyright on this website has expired in 2013, but it's been around since 1998. The website was last updated November 3rd, 2013. But you now owe the Masters of Matinee $500 for an ad spot. Thank you. Our lawyers will be in contact.
Okay, so thank you for casting that spell. What were all those numbers and letters all put together? Yeah, you heard it here, folks. Like, I will get you the fastest 2013 Wi-Fi available, and you
Canada.
can stream. Well, I mean, of course, we're all in Canada. Canada, there's a lot of space. Why don't we just Canada? I'm sure we can get a nice little tent or something popped up somewhere, and we can just, we can build out from there. But yeah, if you can find spoiler alert, I highly recommend it. I mean, well and truly, I mean, it changed. It changed me, and that's not something that I take lightly. Like even with my favorite movie of all time, Jurassic Park, it's a movie that's in my daily life. It didn't. It is not, and it does not change me as much as spoiler alert. Like true, because like I can watch Jurassic Park and I don't really see myself all too much in the movie. If I tried hard enough, yeah, maybe I do have an underbite that kind of matches some of the dinosaurs on the premises.
Hey,
But other
hey,
than that,
you never know. Jurassic Park, dude, the future's coming fast. Jurassic Park really might affect you more than you think it does
I
in the
mean,
future.
with the I don't know which what is it called, an agency, whatever, but they're reviving the woolly mammoth here in the next several years. Like they are like they have stated here in the next like 3 to 6 years they are bringing back the woolly mammoth, which okay, cool. I mean they're okay, but like once you start trying to bring back some of the predators, oh, that's not a good story. That's bad. I can you outrun a velociraptor? Well, an actual velociraptor, which an actual velociraptor is about the size of a uh, like a poodle. No, it's much smaller than a poodle. Like the size of like a terrier, like a Boston Terrier. There you go. Do you know what a Boston Terrier is, JT?
I do.
Okay, well, that's what the size of an actual raptor would be. They're not massive, but like I can't outrun that. Where am I gonna go?
They're ankle
It's like
biters.
bring back what?
They're ankle biters.
They are. Yeah. So bring back some of the cooler dinosaurs or some of the cooler not even dinosaurs, just some prehistoric animals, but not meat eaters, not predators,
How about
not hunters.
we take a tip from Pet Cemetery and say sometimes that is better and leave it all alone because our modern ecosystem and climate is not suitable to start
Yeah,
bringing in extinct
you know,
animals.
that is a very good point. Where are we going to keep the woolly mammoths? Where are we going to keep them? Because if movies have taught me anything, good old Ice Age from Blue Sky Media, rest in peace. Um, Woolly mammoths thrive in colder climates. It's like hosting the Olympics. Who is gonna host the woolly mammoths? Are we gonna are we gonna pass them around like the Winter Olympics? Like, okay, well, who's cold right now? It's like that's crazy. Like I have no idea. Or are they gonna be able to genetically modify them to not? That's just an elephant, JT. That's just an elephant. Why are we bringing back woolly mammoths?
What?
Just
Jeez, I don't know, man. It's
I
it's
don't.
ridiculous, man. Like I think that humans shouldn't be trying to play God. It's not. It's not natural to. I mean, extinction is a natural thing. It's Darwinism, survival of the fittest. Woolly mammoths went extinct because they couldn't adapt. So now they've been extinct for so long. It's like you're talking about bringing them into the modern climate. What the fuck makes you think that they're gonna thrive now? Like with global warming and everything, and woolly mammoths adapting to the cold. The planet's fucking melting, you idiots. Like,
Yeah, I mean, if we can't sustain polar bears, how are we going to withstand a creature that is the weight of, let's just guesstimate, JT. I'm going to throw out 38 polar bears. I don't know how big a woolly mammoth is, but Manny was quite larger than Diego, and Diego was probably the size of a polar bear.
maybe we should just start feeding the polar bears to the woolly mammoths.
You know what? And then in how long have woolly mammoths been gone? 20,000 years, 30,000 years. And then in 30,000 years, we can bring back the polar bear. God creates dinosaurs. God destroys dinosaurs. God creates man. Man destroys God. Man creates dinosaurs. Dinosaurs eat man. And women inherit the earth.
Says here, woolly mammoths roamed parts of Earth's northern hemisphere for at least 500,000 years. They were still in their heyday 20,000 years ago, but within 10,000
Oh,
years, they were reduced to isolated populations off the coasts of Siberia and Alaska. By 4,000 years ago, they were gone. So
oh,
think about
hell yeah.
that.
Look at them in Canada. We just put them in Canada. We were just talking about how much space Canada has. There is so much. All of Canada is in the lower part. The upper part of Canada, nobody's there because it can't sustain life. It's too goddamn hectic out there. Throw a couple mammoths and see what happens.
Like, think about this. We know a lot about like ancient Greece and stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
800 BC to 480 BCE, right? So fucking woolly mammoths were around at the same goddamn time that ancient Greece were. They were
Yeah.
around for the Mayans.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's why I said, like, there are so many creatures, like, in our lifetime, there have been creatures that have gone extinct, but like the woolly mammoth is not that far removed. Like they were just here. If you lay out the timeline of Earth, uh, woolly mammoths and us are on the exact same pin. Like we exist at the exact same time. They are just yesterday. They are last week's newspaper. That's what they are. I mean, so it's not too far fetched to try with them first because you don't want to try with some bug because we saw Dominion. Those bugs were a little bit crazy.
You know
But like a
what's
mammoth?
it's crazy when you're thinking about the time period of the relativity of only 4,000 years ago mammoths walked the earth, and
Yeah.
the earth is supposedly 4 point something billion years old.
Yeah.
So it's so crazy to me that like our knowledge of our own planet is so minute. It's minuscule, dude. Like imagine all the stuff that like existed on Earth before Pangea, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then imagine, I mean, we already know they're discovering new shit at the depths of the ocean like all the fucking time that's surfacing
Of course.
because I mean we don't have the technology to explore the ocean floor completely. So,
No.
there's all of these crazy fucking animals, and some of them have probably been around and been bred for a billion years or more and are still lasting. They're just at the bottom of the fucking ocean floor, and they're lasting because they've been left the hell alone. They've been untouched by humans. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the whole thing with oh my god, I was gonna call it a relicanth, but it's not a relicanth. It's what Pokemon. It's a Pokemon relicanth. There's this fish that was long thought to be extinct, and then they just randomly found it one day, and they're like, oh, this fish is in our fossil records. This is an old ass fish, and they're still around today. We thought they died out a very long time ago. There are so many. If anybody in their right mind is thinking right now, I just want to put this out there. There's anybody in their right mind that's thinking the megalodon can still exist. No, it can't. Stop it. I see your videos. The megalodon cannot exist in today's day and age, or it does not still exist. It is extinct. It has been extinct for a very long time. Stop trying to make the megalodon a thing. Anyway, JT,
Stop
it's
trying to make
crazy.
fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
It's crazy. Like one of my favorite things is so the universe is so massive, JT. It is so expansive that the closest galaxy to our own is the Andromeda Galaxy. And that galaxy is 2.5 million light years away from us. That's our closest galaxy. If you were able to travel to the Andromeda Galaxy, okay? If you're able to travel there and you were to have a telescope that was powerful enough to point back at Earth, let's just say hypothetically, if all of this is possible, when you point that telescope back at Earth, what do you see? The
Uh,
dinosaurs. Because the light of the extinction of dinosaurs, whether it be the meteor, whether it be the fires, whether it be the whatever you would see, the earthquakes, the skies filled with ash, the volcanoes, everything, the tsunamis, whatever, you would still see the dinosaurs walking the earth because the light of human existence has not yet hit the Andromeda Galaxy. So if there's aliens over there and they're pointing their telescopes here, they have no idea we exist yet. Isn't that crazy? The closest solar, or the closest galaxy, solar system, whatever, to us cannot know we exist yet because the light from the dinosaurs is still there. Like, we do not exist to them yet because our light hasn't hit them. That's how far away they are.
So, what do you think about like the in recent events, the government hearings with Congress and stuff, where they pretty much admitted that they have wrecked alien artifact and wreckage, and they found bodies that are not human, and
Of course. Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer. I think that as humans, we ultimately, right, are very self-centered. We're very selfish. And it would be easy for us to say that we are the only ones in the universe because we have conquered our planet. We have conquered, in our opinion, the stars, even though we've only been to the fucking moon and we've sent some rovers and some other like satellites and whatever it might be. We've sent out Sputnik. Whoa, cool. Like, but in reality, it would be so selfish, extraordinarily selfish, to believe that we are the only life in the universe. It's impossible, and they're here. Whether they're here walking among us or they have visited over the millions of years, whether they have had a hand in our growth, in our technology. I mean, there are so many civilizations out there that we are finding that are far more advanced than they should be. Like, there are civilizations that are buried 3 deep, and the 2 above them are not as advanced as the one deepest. And there's so many things that just get lost. Civilizations die off, whether it be through starvation and hunger, whether it be through disease, whether it be through migration, whether it be through the elements, whatever it might be, civilizations die off. But have aliens ever had a hand in it? Sure, why not? Why not? Do aliens have a hand in it now? Sure, why not? I can't tell you 100% certainty, but the idea that the U.S. government has non-human life forms, is the way they phrased it, in their possession doesn't surprise me in the slightest. But one of the things that is cool to me is the fact that a lot of the life forms that are described, not all of them, obviously you have like the little gray men. You know, they're more commonly called the grays. They're the most iconic alien iconography. But when it comes down to it, a lot of aliens that are described, a lot of aliens that are etched into our Earth are humanoid in appearance. And the fact of the matter is, the universe is built on the same ingredients. Like the universe, it's all the same recipe. And not to say that humans as we are now is peak evolution, because in reality, if we were able to keep our Earth alive long enough, there's plenty more adaptations that we can grow into. There's plenty more that there's plenty more evolution left for us. But humans are quite peak at a universal standpoint. Like, we are getting to that point. So if there are aliens out there, there's a high likelihood that they would be humanoid in appearance. Now, more sophisticated, yes, probably. Obviously, they have the technology to reach us. That would mean that they would have some type of access to the speed of light, some hyperspace thing where the whole thing of, like, in Star Trek, when they go into warp whatever, they're basically, all they're doing is, if you stretch out your arm, okay, listeners, stretch out your arm at arm's length with your palm out, and then think of it this way. This is how you travel space very quickly. Your arm, your pinky, or your middle finger rather, your middle finger is Earth, and your shoulder is the Andromeda Galaxy. You need to get to the Andromeda Galaxy very quickly. How do you do that? Well, you warp space and time, you bend it. So take your middle finger, bend your elbow, and touch your shoulder. Boom, you're at the Andromeda Galaxy. So these aliens out there have found a way to bend space and time to where they can jump quickly, or they have extraordinary technology that allows them to travel extremely fast, or they have some type of, like, chambers that keep them alive through, hundreds of years of travel, which I highly doubt that's the case. It could be, though, for some civilizations.
Or here's a couple of my theories about that. So
There you go, baby.
You say that if you were in the Andromeda Galaxy looking back at Earth, you're essentially time traveling because Earth doesn't see it. But if somebody at this point looked back at Earth from the Andromeda Galaxy and saw the dinosaurs, and they set out right this moment to start heading here, and they say they took a male and a female, like 1,000 males, 1,000 females, and, like, their point was that they had enough rations for 100,000 years to travel, slowly travel across the universe and keep breeding out and breeding each other and surviving and self-sustaining. If they had that technology, by the time they get here from where they were looking and it was dinosaurs, by the time they get here, it's now. They have traveled through time, and it's not the same ones that set out. It's their ancestors at that point. It's now
absolutely.
It's now hundreds of generations down the line. So what if we have them here now? My theory is that they've probably been ancestral generations of aliens that have been traveling to us for hundreds of thousands of years at this point, unless, like you say, they do have some time-space continuum bending technology or light speed technology. But if you're talking about snail mail, if you're talking about, like, if they're traveling the same way that we would travel right now, I think that's how they get here. My other theory is that, so we have so much land on this earth that is encompassed by water. Before Pangea and stuff, all of the land mass was together, and when it split apart, water swallowed a massive amount of it, and it's now at the ocean floor. I theorize that human beings were not the first intelligent life forms on the planet. There was probably a prehistoric that was from before prehistoric. I'm talking billions of years ago, before Pangea split, before dinosaurs, before anything that we can trace back. There was probably intelligent life here that had society. And I don't know how far advanced they would have been, but I think that when Pangea happened and stuff, that was probably the downfall of their society. And that's where you get tales like the Lost City of Atlantis from, loosely based
Oh
on
yeah,
that theory.
absolutely.
That's just
It
how I kind of think it might happen. And then
recently. Oh, sorry. I apologize. I know. I get really excited about this conversation.
damn, Zed, you're always fucking interrupting me, dude. Can you please
I
fucking
know.
stop that? Go trim
Hey,
your nose
hey.
hairs.
How about you stop? Listen, I'm getting real sick and tired of you. I'm spending a lot of money at therapy trying to get over all these arguments we're having.
Use your volume all the way down. All right, Zed's muted now. So, anyway, what I'm saying is that all right, he's back up.
you bastard.
No, I think that with when these societies fell and stuff, this other life force, this other intelligent life, maybe learned to adapt underwater, and maybe that's what we're seeing as aliens, and maybe they're underwater, maybe they're a lot more advanced than us. Because if you remember, there was a release about UFOs and stuff a couple years ago from the Air Force
Yeah.
and stuff, and they had talked about how there was some kind of craft underwater moving
Yeah.
faster than what we think could be possible because of the way that the weight of water would push back. It was moving at a speed faster than is possible to move underwater.
Absolutely. Yeah. The water resistance is a goddamn bastard.
Yeah. So I think that I don't know, man. I don't know. It's
Hey, so
fucking crazy.
here's something that's fun for all you listeners out there that really love movies. So recently, actually, in July, right after my first birthday of the year, they released a new theory. So the standard estimate for the age of our universe is about 13 billion years. It's nearly 14 billion, but it's about 13 billion years old, our universe, our ever expanding universe. But now there's a newer study, a newer theory that the universe is actually twice that. It's 26 billion years old. But here's the fun fact about the universe is the universe is our universe, the universe that we are currently living in. I'm not talking about multiversal theory right now. We can get into that another time. But it's probably not the first. It's probably not the first. There's a reason why there's a thing called the Big Bang, that it starts from nothing. Essentially, what kickstarted our universe was the death of the last. And the same ingredients applied, maybe some new, but that was it. The way I look at the way I look at your theory, JT, at the whole, they're say a group of 200 aliens set out. You need about 200 to make a good colony. About 200 set out, and they're venturing off, and they know the ones that start that journey are there's no way, biologically, there's no way that they are going to make it to this new distant land. And it's going to be generations upon generations upon generations if they're coming from, like you referenced, the Andromeda Galaxy. There's no way that the originals are going to make it. But
Sure.
why come here? Right? Why come here?
They probably have the same mindset that we have: progress, exploration, finding something new. If they had the technology and the manpower to come and do a great migration, it's not unlike, it's on a smaller scale for us, but it's not unlike when we expanded to the west in the Great Migration in our history on Earth. If they had, they might see it as a way to find new prosperous land for new generations. They get a bunch of volunteers together to be like, okay, well, I'm going to give my life and dedicate my life to this science and exploration and finding a new world for us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's the same attitude that settlers had to have when they migrated west. Many of them traveling those trails knew that they weren't going to make it out west, but they had hope. And if they had hope, then they had hope that the ones they were with would, and that they would start new lives for their children and their grandchildren and their great grandchildren and for generations to come.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I wanted you to say. Thank you so very much. And that's the truth. And one of numerous theories out there about aliens is that we are also aliens. We are not just things that we are not just the cat to their dog. We are an offspring, for lack of a better term. So like imagine they plant a couple of their own kind on Earth and say start a civilization, whether they are marooning them or whether they are marooned or they are being marooned, whether it was voluntary, whatever it might have been, whatever it might be. That's one of the theories, is that we are aliens, are essentially what we would describe to be aliens. We are a science experiment, or we've just forgotten where we've come from. I don't necessarily buy into that theory too terribly much, because we can map back quite far to our earliest ancestors of aquatic beings that are, crawling up out of the water onto the mud, trying our damnedest to grow lungs. So I don't necessarily buy into that theory 100%, but listen, that's the whole fun of it all. Do aliens exist? Yes. Have they traveled to Earth? There's too much circumstantial evidence to deny, like outright, the possibility that aliens have not been to Earth, and that they're not, here right now. Whether they are being held captive in bunkers miles below the Earth, or whether they work a desk job at fucking Staples, like, they are here, or they have been here, and there's a reason why for hundreds of thousands of millions of years weird paintings and drawings and stories from the most credible individuals out there that they have no reason to lie to you. Why? Because they're not benefiting from it. Some of these people who have told their stories are not benefited from the grandioseness of men flying in little saucers from the sky and abducting me. No, they're not. They're ostracized. They are belittled. It's honestly, it ruins their life to come out with it for the most part. So why would these people willingly ruin their lives, ruin their credibility? Like, some of these people have credentials that you wouldn't even realize. Some of the people in history, people that who have witnessed, who have had firsthand encounters with these men from Mars, or whatever planet you want to use, or whatever. This stuff, you can't deny it, and denying it is just you being close-minded, you being selfish, because the universe is way too large, it's way too expansive, and it's too goddamn old to think that our little planet in the Milky Way galaxy is the only one that can sustain life. It's I can't even think of the word I want to use. It's just not possible. Even if life out there, alien life out there, is just a microbe, that is still life. That is still an alien. And we are finding those things slowly but surely. And those microbes are going to turn into even bigger and bigger things. uh, and we already know about them. People have seen them. People. Uh, Literally, we were just talking earlier, JT, when the whole thing that riled this up. They have humanoid bodies in their possession.
To be fair, they didn't say the bodies were humanoid. They did not say humanoid.
Well, didn't that officer say that they were bipedal, or not bipedal rather, but there was something that he said that made me say, oh, so they were humanoid. They said that they were non-human, but I believe that there was something that he said that made me believe that they were humanoid-esque, which means bipedal, which means two arms, two legs. But I digress. We all have heard the stories over the years. We have all seen the movies. You have seen Paul, haven't you?
Oh yeah, dude. Paul is like one
Paul
of my
is
favorite alien
incredible.
movies.
Paul is incredible. Paul to this day is still one of the most incredible, or most. It's one of the best realized CGI characters I've ever seen. It holds up. It is spectacular. Such a great movie. We need more Simon Pegg and Nick Frost team ups. I digress. We've all seen Paul. We all know of these humanoid aliens. Humanoid doesn't necessarily have to mean that they look just like us, but
No,
humanoid.
it just means they walk on 2 feet.
They walk on 2 feet. They have their arms. They have their head. There is the assumption that they might have genitalia. They might have internal organs, and they bleed. A big thing is blood. Like if it's a living being, then it must bleed.
Well, let me ask you this. This. Have you ever had? And then we after this we do need to wrap it up because we're on an hour now. So.
I didn't get to talk about Big Mama's House too. Okay, ask me your question.
Have you ever had a UFO experience?
I have a story. Yes.
I do too. And mine is freaky as shit. So I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay. So I do want to preface this by saying that I did not experience this, but I was there. So my family has this cabin on one of the Great Lakes here in Michigan. And for many, many years, we had this thing called Cousins Weekend, where a lot of the cousins would travel up north to our cabin for a long weekend. As the years went on, less and less people, showed up, and it kind of trickled off. And it was more or less just like my immediate family, meaning my grandparents' kids and their kids. So like my aunts and uncles, or my uncles. I don't really have my grandparents only had 3 boys and I had a daughter, which the daughter's my mom. So my uncle is up there, and they being my uncle and his daughter, who is the oldest grandchild, were at the fire pit. Now the fire pit is fairly close to the beach, but there's a decline down to the water. And they're both sitting there, and my uncle, being the summer and being, 11 o'clock at night, he is slightly intoxicated, but he's just sitting there smoking his cigarettes and drinking his beers, and he's hanging out with his daughter. Well, they decide that it's coming to a close, and they need to, wrap it up. And they have this bucket. We have this bucket, this white bucket that everyone uses. You take it down to the water, you fill it up, and you put out the fire. So they both decide it's time. They travel down to the water together because my uncle is probably not. If he falls in the water, we're not going to see my uncle ever. So his daughter accompanies him, and it's pitch black down there. I mean, when it's dark out there, it's dark. And so they walk down there, and they're filling up this water, and they're kind of just looking out. because there are stars, so it's not pitch black, but goddamn, I can't see shit when I'm down there. And all of a sudden, out from the woods comes this white orb, and it catches both of their attention at the same time. And this white orb comes out of the woods. There's no sound. And when I say white orb, think like a globe, right? But it's just bright white. Just the brightest white you can think of. And it's coming out of the woods, no sound. There's no rustling in the trees. There's nothing. But they're watching it slowly come out of the woods. And then it goes and it hovers over the water. It's casting its light over top of the water. They're both staring at it in complete silence. All they can hear are the waves crashing up against the beach. And then the orb, as it's hovering out in front of them, starts to come at them. And this is where they both sort of grab onto each other, but they're still not moving. The orb comes fairly close. Now, if you're looking at something that is very bright, it's kind of hard to very bright against a very dark background. It's very hard to discern the size. But if we had to give a guesstimate, or if they had to give a guesstimate, they said, think about the seat you sit in on like a Ferris wheel. I know it's a very strange example, but think about the seat that you sit on a Ferris wheel. That's about roughly the size of this thing. And it's still hovering, but then it quickly just goes. It just goes right back into the woods after it kind of hovers over the water, comes at them, goes back into the woods. Then they're just standing there, and someone has to talk first. So my uncle looks at my cousin and says, "Please tell me you saw that." Because he's thinking to himself, he's drunk. He doesn't know what he's seeing. Maybe he's just looking at the moon and being like, wow, this moon is really spinning around. And no, my cousin was like, no, I saw that. We need to get out of here. Whether they put out the fire that night, I'm not entirely sure, but I do remember them both barreling into the cabin. We're all sitting there, just watching TV, maybe playing some games, and they are both shocked and terrified. Then what happens next, as they're sort of like telling this story to us, is we hear a fighter jet fly over top of our cabin. And I don't need to describe the sound of a fighter jet, but it flies over top of our cabin. Now, I do want to put in here at the tail end, there is a military base close by to our family's cabin, within X amount of miles. I don't want to give like an actual. I don't need you guys narrowing down where my cabin is, but there is a military base. But it was a thing where they experienced this white orb, and then right after, as they're explaining to us what they've heard, or what they've seen rather, they didn't hear a damn thing because it was silent as hell. This fighter jet booms over our house and out towards the lake. And that's the story. I wasn't there to witness it, but I was there. And I have a tendency to feel that there's no reason to make up that story.
Which Great Lake is this one on?
Huron.
So there's like all sorts of tales about alien and like hauntings and ghosts and stuff around all of the Great Lakes.
Michigan is so goddamn haunted. I live in a haunted house. Like, we're going to talk about it here in this October. But
you already talked about it a little bit.
We talked about it a little bit. Mackinac is an extremely haunted place. If you ever want a good ghost location, Mackinac, there are no cars allowed on the island. It's purely foot traffic. Once you get over the bridge, you can rent a bike, and there are so many. Some of the most haunted locations in the United States are here in Michigan, and some of the most haunted locations in Michigan are in Mackinac Island, not the city, island. But yes, please tell me your story, JT, because I am very excited.
Okay. So in September of 2020, my wife, my best friend Ben, and myself went out to California to because our other best friend Chris was living out there. His wife was pregnant, and they were going to be moving back to West Virginia. So they were like worried about like, what do we do with all our stuff? Like, it's going to cost a fortune. So they shipped what they could afford, and then his wife was also pregnant. And so my wife went out there with me, and she flew back with Chris's wife. And me and Ben loaded up the car with a bunch of the big shit, like the TV and all that shit. And we drove
yeah.
cross country. And the route that we took, we decided we could go through the desert and just see a bunch of sand through most of the way, like through Texas and Arizona
Sure.
and New Mexico and all that shit. But we decided to go a slightly longer route, and we went north. So we went from San Diego into Nevada through Vegas to Arizona into Utah. Stayed the night in Salt Lake City. Next day, got up, went through Wyoming into South Dakota, and stayed in the Black Hills, which is another one of the most haunted places in the entire country. Those Black Hills with
Absolutely.
a bunch of the Native American history and
Yeah.
stuff there, and Wendigos
Lots
and
of
shit like
aliens
that.
as well.
Yeah.
Lots of aliens as well,
We
which I'm presuming this is where we're at now.
we stayed at the hotel that overlooks Mount Rushmore. Then got up, went to Chicago, and back down into West Virginia. So when we were in Wyoming, we get up the morning in Salt Lake City, and we head out. And Wyoming is, to this day, one of the most beautiful states I've ever seen in my life. Utah, Nevada, and Wyoming are the top three most gorgeous states. Because Wyoming is very plainsy, and every now and again you'll see like a butte mountain sticking out of the ground, and it's just really pretty. And
yeah.
Wyoming is very flat, and it's a lot of straight roads. And the majority of this trip was in Wyoming. So it's starting to get dark. We're looking for a place to get some grub, because we're not pulling off the road to stop for the night until we hit the Black Hills in South Dakota, which is still probably 5 hours away.
Yeah.
So we're in this little town outside, or it's a little town in Wyoming. I can't remember what it's called, but we come up to this bar and grill called the Sunset Bar and Grill. And it's like a biker restaurant joint. There's a little motel there, and it's like we go in there. Two boys from West Virginia, one boy from California walk in the door. And it's like one of those movies, you see in those movies where that the weird person walks into like a saloon or something, and the music stops and everybody turns and stares at him.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's a great trope. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that literally happened.
Oh.
But then it turns out like it was just the coolest fucking experience. They had fucking seafood there. It was amazing, which seafood in Wyoming was weird, but it was fucking incredible.
Where's the water?
That's exactly what I'm saying. It wasn't that expensive neither. It was like, I think it was like $16 for like a huge gigantic plate. And you got like freaking like scallops, clams, shrimp, like all sorts of stuff. I think some cod or salmon or something, some kind of fish, maybe catfish. It was great. But so we go in there, we eat, and it's one of those really cool joints where it's like the walls from floor to ceiling are covered in dollar bills because apparently there's like a big like it's a big place where people stop through, and like they'll take a dollar bill, they'll sign it and write with the state they're from, and tape it on the wall. And
absolutely,
so
yeah.
we got to do that, and then we leave the bar, and we start heading off into the night through Wyoming. I think it might be. I'm actually going to look. I'm going to look here. Let's see. Sunset Bar and Grill, Wyoming. Casper. It's outside of Casper.
Okay.
So we start heading on the desolate road. It is a crazy road. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen because it's like 70-mile speed limit, 2-lane road. Not even a 4-lane. Like there's no passing lanes or anything. But the speed limit's so fast because it's so straight. There's no turns. And it's in the middle of the fucking night. Pitch ass black, bro. There's no street lights. Sometimes you might see a light from a farm, like way off in the distance. But other than that, pitch black. The only thing out is maybe the occasional star. The moon wasn't even out. It was so dark. Ben is asleep in the back seat. Chris and I'm riding shotgun. Chris is driving. We're talking about, shit and smoking cigarettes, having a great time. And all of a sudden, I happen to look up. Now, mind you, the whole entire time, this whole trip, because Chris and I are big believers. So we're big believers in aliens, ghosts, cryptids. So we are looking hardcore, scanning the areas for any sign of life.
You're in the prime time right there.
So it's probably like 3:00 in the morning at this point.
Yeah.
So we're driving, and all of a sudden, I see something above us and to the left. It's like to the left of Chris's side of the car, the driver's side of the car. And I scream out like, "What the fuck is that?" And Chris looked and he started screaming and we both started screaming. And then that woke up Ben, and Ben was pissed. He was like, "What the fuck are you screaming at?" And we were like, "Look, motherfucker." And then he started screaming. And I shit you not, Zedox Hercules Jones. I shit you fucking not. In the sky, in the pitch black, there is a figure the size of a goddamn football field that is following next to us, probably about 30 feet off the ground, adjacent to us, flying over a field. We're on the road, keeping up with our car going 70, 75 miles an hour. And underneath it, this is the only reason we could see it, was there was like a grid of lights, and they were white lights. They were very, very dim, but they were pulsating on and off, very slowly. And they were so dim, but this thing stretched for a fucking football field in the fucking sky, dude. And
what do you mean by figure?
It was a ship, bro.
Okay, I see. In my mind, I was thinking like a person.
No. This thing was a
I was
UFO.
like, what?
It was a UFO, and it was following 70 miles an hour with us with these strobing, pulsating lights on the bottom of it, the size of a goddamn football field. And I'm like begging Chris. I'm like, "Stop the fucking car." He's like, "Do you want to get goddamn abducted?" I'm like, "Yes, motherfucker, I do." Stop the car.
I'm up for new experiences.
So he would not stop the car. And then we see the figure float higher and start to disappear and then zoom off.
And what did it look like zooming off?
It just looked like a black figure just like going really fast away. Like it was hard to see it. When I say these lights were dim, they were super dim. Like it was like about 30 feet off the ground. They weren't strong enough to illuminate the ground underneath it. You wouldn't even notice it unless you were actually looking up.
And could you hear anything?
No, silent.
Did you roll down your windows at all?
Yes, like we had our windows down.
You're smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, they were rolled down because we were smoking.
Wow. Oh.
Yeah.
And what did you guys talk about afterwards? Like what was the conversation? How did you guys react to that?
We all had to kind of check ourselves and be like, "Did you see what I just saw? What did it look like?" Like we were like, "What was on the bottom of it?" All of us unanimously agreed, a grid of strobing, pulsating lights that were very dim. How big was it? About a fucking football field, about 100 yards in diameter. Like we just had to like test each other to make sure that we were actually seeing the same exact thing. We all came to the conclusion that it was a UFO. Now, whether or not this was an alien UFO or some kind of U.S. government stealth Black Ops shit, I don't fucking know. It could have been some kind of
unidentified nonetheless.
Yeah. It could have been. It could have just as easily been some kind of stealth jet or airship or something that the U.S. government was testing out there. Or
And they were like, "Look at those license plates. Let's check these boys."
if it was the government, I fully believe that the people on deck saw our car, saw that there was nobody else around, and they were like, "Let's give these motherfuckers the scare of a lifetime."
Oh my god!
Nobody's gonna believe them. Nobody's ever gonna believe these guys.
That is a fantastic story that I wish there was 4 seats available. Why wasn't I invited?
The TV was in the back seat.
Oh, TV can sit on my lap. I'm okay with that. To witness a UFO, I'll sit with a TV on my lap for a little bit. Why not?
A 65-inch television on your lap?
I'm bigger than 65 inches. I think I can handle it. Strap that baby to the top of the car. I don't know. We'll probably get a good signal from these goddamn orbs flying around. Like that's a crazy experience. And could you make out the shape of it at all other than the pulsating lights? Like, could you make out, you say that you could tell how big it was. What's the shape of it? Is it like the aircraft carrier from Avengers?
Okay, so like the shape of the lights were squared. Like they were like they made a large square, like a rectangular squared off shape. But that's the only thing that we could really see. We could vaguely see like the actual ship itself, but it was so dark, like you couldn't see how far the ship actually went or the general shape of it. And it like all of this happened in a span of like 25 seconds at max. Like I'm talking from first sight to starting to scream to Ben waking up to him starting to scream to us actually all three being able to get a good look at what we were looking at, which even it's not even like really a great look at what we were looking at. But I mean, it was enough to discern that it's definitely not something that we have ever seen about or heard about in movies. And the crazy thing is, I was on Reddit a couple years ago and I saw somebody posted a story about something very similar, not quite exactly the same, but something very similar with the grid of the lights. It was a lot smaller in their story than what we had seen, but they had like a grid of lights that were like pulsating and shit. And so I was like, whoa. Like I finally felt like some confirmation because like I've never told this story online either. Like I was like, nobody's gonna fucking believe me. So what the fuck's the point? I'm just gonna get a bunch of feds knocking down my door, which I'm probably going to now. But FBI, open up.
That is a fantastic story.
Yeah, it was
and
scary. And my biggest regret is not tucking and rolling out of the car so I could go get abducted.
Bro, I would risk breaking my arm to at least get a closer look. And with that, folks, we are going to end off the show. My name has been Zedox Hercules Jones. My co-host for today has been JT the Talking Head. Thank you so very much. Have yourselves a beautiful day. And as always, we'll be talking to you next Tuesday.
And Zed's going to go trim his nose hairs now. See ya.
Okay.
What an episode, man. You might even be tempted to say that it was out of this world. Hey, we'd like to thank everyone who's been listening along and would like to remind you to go ahead and follow Masters of Matinee on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Special thanks to this week's co-host, Zedzilla, who can be found on his TikTok at Zedzilla Movies. Don't forget that all 4 Masters are now on Letterboxd. Come see what kind of movies we've been watching, and be sure to leave a comment and let us know that you listen to the show. Their links can be found in the description. Remember to also follow me on TikTok and YouTube at JT the Talking Head. Thank you all so very much for listening to this awesome collaborative effort of 4 guys who just want to talk about the things they love, movies, and physical media. Be sure to join us next week and every single week on Blues Day Tuesday. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next week.